What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So I want to take a look and listen to Katie Porter, Congresswoman Katie Porter, and she's going to be talking to oil execs. Now, this video is about 6 months old. Okay, so I didn't catch it when it was like 6 months ago, but it's really good to watch. So in this video, they're having a hearing with these oil execs, and she really puts their feet to the fire. So I want to show you guys this, and we'll talk a little bit about it at the end. But first off, on this channel, we talk about retirement, we talk about Social Security, and we talk about what's going on in Washington, D.C. If those things sound like something interesting to you, please subscribe to the channel and hit that little bell notification. That way you get notified anytime we put out a video. And like always, if you see my name and a picture of me in the comment section, make sure you see a check mark next to my name. That check mark signifies that it's me. If you do not see that check mark, it's not me. It's someone trying to impersonate me. Okay, so I want to get right to this video. It's about 5 minutes long. We'll watch it. We'll talk a little bit as we watch it, and then at the end, I'll give you my overall opinion. So here we go.
We've heard a lot about future plans for investment in renewable energy today. Ms. Watkins, Shell's 2020 annual report called for between $19 and $22 billion in near-term spending. I'm representing that with this container of M&Ms. Each M&M represents about $50 million in spending. Ms. Watkins, how much has Shell said it will spend in the near term on oil, gas, and chemical operations?
I think you just said we're going to be spending between $18 and $20 billion this year.
That's near term. On total spending, how much on oil, gas, and chemical operations?
We're going to be spending.
Well, according to your annual report, you said you're going to spend 16 to 17 billion for oil, gas, and chemical, with another $3 billion for marketing. How much is Shell spending to spend on renewable energy?
This year, we'll be spending between $2 and $3 billion.
$2 and $3 billion on renewables and energy solutions. In your testimony, you said, quote, meeting the demand for reliable energy while simultaneously addressing climate change is a huge undertaking and one of the defining challenges of our time. Shell has made these promises before. Shell pledged to spend $6 billion between 2017 and 2020 on renewable energy. How much of that did Shell actually spend? The answer is about half. Ms. Watkins, does this look like a huge undertaking to you?
Congresswoman, what I can tell you is that there needs to be both a demand and a supply of clean energy, which is why we're working very closely with our customers so that that demand increases over time and we are
Ms.
ready
Watkins,
to supply.
To me, this does not look like an adequate response to one of the defining challenges of our time. This is greenwashing. Shell is trying to fool people into thinking that it's addressing the climate crisis when what it's actually doing is to continue to put money into fossil fuels. Mr. Summers, do you recognize the following statement? Banning federal leasing and development on federal lands and waters would derail decades of U.S. energy progress.
I do, Congresswoman.
That's your statement. How many of the Department of Interior's approved and ready to drill permits are currently unused?
Congresswoman, it takes a long time to develop these leases that
I appreciate that, Mr. Summers. I'm just asking how many permits are unused?
Now, this is very interesting because she's asking as far as the permits. They have the permits to drill, but they're choosing not to drill. And that's what she's trying to get to. But this oil exec is not, he doesn't want to answer that question. He doesn't want to say how many permits that they actually have or how many permits that are available, because when you find out, you're like, well, why are all these permits available? Why aren't you drilling? They're not drilling because they want those prices to be high. You have a limited supply and you have a high demand. That means you can charge more for oil. You can charge more for gas. So that's what she's trying to get to. He's trying to kind of get around it and not explain the reason why we have all these permits and they're not drilling.
Congresswoman, I think there's a fundamental misunderstanding as to how these
Reclaiming my time, Mr. Summers, there are 7,700 permits unused. How many acres of public land are already leased by fossil fuel companies and not even used yet, just available for drilling whenever you decide?
Congresswoman, again, I think you have a fundamental misunderstanding as to how this process works and the time and resources.
Reclaiming my time.
Okay, now she's reclaiming her time, and I just want you guys to understand what goes on. So she only has a certain amount of time to talk, and so she's reclaiming time. If he's kind of not answering the question, she's going to reclaim time, just so she has a little bit more time to try to get him to answer the question. Basically,
answer is 13.9 million acres. To visualize how much land that is, if each grain of rice were 1 acre, that would be 479 pounds of rice. The American Petroleum Institute even opposed pausing more leasing on our lands. They even sued to stop it because apparently this acreage wasn't enough. Mr. Wirth, you serve on the American Petroleum Institute's executive committee. Do you support a pause on new oil and gas leases on federal land?
Congresswoman, access to resource in this country is essential to ensure the energy security of our country and
reclaiming my time. Mr. Lawler, do you support a pause?
The dramatic effect of rice.
The administration, it's our hope that the pause ends soon. We think it's important to go
reclaiming
forward.
My time. Thank you for your answer. The answer there is no. Mr. Woods, do you support a pause on new federal and gas leases?
No.
Ms. Watkins, do you support a pause on new federal and gas leases?
No, I do not, because I think it's important.
You already have 13.9 million acres. This is equivalent to Maryland and New Jersey combined. How much more do you need? How much more acreage? You have 2 of our 50 states at a price that makes the Louisiana purchase look like a ripoff, and you're not even using it. What more do you need? Iowa, Colorado, Virginia? Our public land belongs to the American people, not to big oil. When you lobby and you sue so that you could take more of our public land, you're saying too much is never enough. The American people are tired of this charade.
Okay, so that was Katie Porter. Now that last part is very, very interesting, and it doesn't get talked about a lot, but these oil companies, they have all this land and they're not drilling on the land and they're just holding the land. And so we can't access it because it's federal land anyway, but because they have a lock on the land, they can do whatever they want or not do whatever they want when it comes to the land. And if they choose not to drill, then guess what? Prices will continue to rise. And then when they get to the point where they want to drill, then they'll drill a little bit, but they have control of this land. So it's a really a bad situation when it comes down to it. And you saw how these oil execs got a little, they couldn't answer the question. They didn't answer any of the questions. They kind of like skated around them. I think there was only one oil exec that was like a flat no, and the other ones were kind of, and none of them supported a pause on this, a pause on leasing this land and these permits that they have available to them. So when we hear talk, and this is another thing that we hear a lot when it comes to different politicians going back and forth, well, why don't they just drill more oil? They have a lot of land right now to drill. If they wanted to drill, they could. They have the permits, but they're choosing not to drill. Okay, now you can try to determine why you think they're not drilling, but I think the bottom line is they're not drilling because they don't have to. Prices are already up. They don't have to. They don't have to take that risk because it's a risk if you're drilling because you're not guaranteed that you're going to get the oil that's underground, right? You're not guaranteed that the money. And I think one of the oil execs was trying to kind of say, look, this is a risk. This is not a guarantee. We have to spend a lot of money up front to get all the equipment to drill, and we're not guaranteed that oil down there is going to be oil that we can use, as well as just it's kind of like looking for gold, right? Back in the day, I guess they don't really. Well, I guess they still mine for gold, but when you're mining or when you're drilling, you have no guarantee. You're out there and you're taking a risk. And why do these oil companies need to take a risk right now? Because gas prices are already up, so there's no real reason to take a risk. If you have less oil available, gas prices are going to be even higher. So just wanted to show you that. I hadn't seen that before, and it's like I said, it's 6 months old. But I like Katie Porter. She's kind of puts on that presentation. I was a little confused. Why is she sitting outside in front of her house? It was kind of weird to me, but now it makes sense because she has, the little things little visual aids that she wanted to show. So I want to know what you guys think about this. So let me know down below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.